But essentially, as the Economic Development Authority for Prince George, we have a private sector board of nine representatives from the various resource-based sectors and other sectors of the local and regional economy. Our sole shareholder is the City of Prince George. We also have ex officio on our board a number of key community leaders as well, whether it's the CAO of the Northern Health Authority, the city manager. We also have the CAO of the regional district, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce locally, and there's one other one in there that's not coming back to me. Well, the president of the university and also the president of the local college. So I think as the title slide showed, that we're trying to build in Prince George what we call a knowledge-based resource economy connected to the world, and we're very integrative in our approach, very partner-oriented, and very focused on delivering economic value for our shareholder and our community. We have six professional staff, and we have a 3-year strategic planning cycle, and I'll go through that. We just came through a three-year strategic plan very successfully. We've embarked on a very ambitious new 3-year strategic plan that really underscores the word strategic. We're very focused on building Prince George as the resource-based hub of northern British Columbia and taking it to the next level. So again, at the crossroads of two great railways. Well, it's one railway now with CN, but it used to be BCR and CN. The roads intersect in our city, Highway 16 east-west, Highway 97 north-south. We have an airport on a circumpolar position between China and the U.S. heartland markets. It's very strategic, so we're working to leverage those advantages to build our city right in the middle of what I call the shortest supply chain route, which can be the supply chain route of choice between China and the U.S. heartland markets. We wanted to have an integrated approach towards getting a connector road put in place, so we worked with a table of various organizations, ourselves, the Airport Authority, the city, the regional district, and the Northern Development Initiatives Trust. And again, Ed was part of that. We met weekly to drive this initiative forward. So whether it was the ALR application or we got a $30 million connector road that required federal, provincial, municipal, and local government funding, we were the table and I chaired that effort. And it's quite effective just bringing together the public and private interests around this, where there was a shared vision and a shared public interest in seeing these lands be advanced, even though they were held in private hands for the benefit of the city. We also had a partnership with the Western Economic Diversification around what we call Global PG, and this was a very targeted but strategic effort to build relationships in China. We worked to build, within the first 5 months I was on the job, an MOU with the China Federation of Logistics and Purchasing, which is, as I was mentioning to George Harvey, was it's a body. We still have this MOU in China that is part, I'd say in our terms, Crown Corporation, part trade association, has relationships throughout transportation logistics throughout China that we're building, we're continuing to work with them, and down the road it'll pay off. And when you're dealing with China, it's all about the relationship first, it's about business second. So we're working away at that as a strategic initiative for the long term. Infrastructure in place. Setting the table for growth is the most important economic development function of a corporation like ours, driving through the issues, being strategic, being creative, and playing for the long run, not the short run, and that's very important. We also work with the regional district of Fraser-Fort George around an industrial land strategy, again, setting the table for growth. There again, we have had a multi-party table that has worked through the various issues to get market-ready 300 to 500 hectares of heavy industrial land up and outside our confined airshed that deals with the environmental questions up front, so that when we have a proponent come to Prince George, we're ready to offer a piece of land. And that's becoming more acute as an issue. We are seeing increasingly interest from Chinese investors who want to come and particularly engage in resource-based pursuits, but also we've got a heavy focus on clean energy moving forward, you know, whether it's biochar, biomass, cellulosic ethanol, and those kind of things. But, when you're doing this kind of work, if you're working in isolation, you may as well shut the entity down. Partnerships are everything. we share our success very broadly. So we work very hard with provincial and federal political and bureaucracy interests to get the Boundary Road Connector through. We work with the Airport Authority on the business case for the airport expansion. We sold the building that we owned as a corporation to Terrace and now Fortis Gas, and they're putting in a 125-job customer care center. We did the business case along with CN for the CN Intermodal and Distribution Center, which I referenced earlier. What has happened in Prince George and Northern British Columbia is this dimension lumber issue, where we have been able to crack the Chinese market, is really saving the day. Mills are reopening, jobs are being created. The pulp business is doing very well in Prince George, again geared primarily to the Chinese market. And forest-based bioenergy is something that's coming on strong, particularly the pellet business. I often say when I come down to Vancouver that the opinion leadership down here is behind the times in terms of what's going on up in Northern British Columbia, because we hear from, and some of these people are my friends, that, oh, it's catastrophic, the mountain pine beetle epidemic is terrible, et cetera, et cetera. Well, in the wake of that kind of challenge, there has been terrific opportunity, and pellet mills are starting to be built. In many places, there's about 5 or 6 of them operating now. They're sending clean green energy into Europe, and China's not far behind with a 20% renewable portfolio standard that's in place there. I would suggest that you need to define very carefully your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So do very sharp SWOT analysis of where you're at. Tailor any economic development model that you have to your local circumstances and interests. So that means basing it on a best practices approach, ensuring that you've got leadership. Leadership. It's everything in terms of the CEO that you hire, in terms of the board that you have. It's absolutely critical. Partnerships are absolutely essential, whether it's within the community, that's the first thing, and then externally. You have to be able to reach out to interests that could align, that could or would identify with what you're trying to do well beyond your community. This is not a parochial endeavor. It's a very outward-looking focus to grow and enable your city and your tax base to grow. And then running room is critical. So you need creativity, you need tenacity, you need a strategic focus. And so the board and your CEO, if you go in the direction we have, needs to have that kind of running room. You need to reduce and remove politics to the greatest extent possible, give them the opportunity to do their thing, and hold them accountable twice a year. Have them come before a council in public forum and demonstrate what they've been doing. And then, as a corporation, we've gone well beyond that. Before my time, there wasn't a regular newsletter, and we're very open about what we're doing. These are the things we're doing. These are the things we've accomplished. This is what we're saying to senior government in full partnership with the city and in full partnership with our other entities that we work with. One of the things I do up in Prince George too is I lead an effort is to pull together a joint submission to federal and provincial governments that involves the Northern Development Initiatives Trust, the City of Prince George, ourselves, the Aboriginal Business Community Development Center, the college, the university, the Airport Authority, and we've even included the Port of Prince Rupert, because after all, their port is our port in terms of the supply chain that we're trying to build. So the more you can work together, the more impactful you are, the more you'll prioritize what you need, and if our success can be emulated, we'd be flattered. And I'll just say this, that again, regular touch points with the city manager is critical, and a really good relationship is absolutely essential there. We have it in Prince George, and again, regular reporting to council is also imperative.